So February of 2021 was the very first time I decided to take my investing and finance journey serious. February of 2021 was the first time that I had opened my World Simple account and invested my first $500. But before the year finally comes to an end, I decided to take a really hard look at my numbers. And that was when I realized that the total amount of money that I have working for me now sits at about $120,000. And we are going to be looking at the numbers in this video. So in this video, I will be doing a portfolio update, but I will be doing something a little bit more different. Every video that I have made in the past pretty much just looked at my portfolio performance and portfolio updates. And this is something that I will do a little bit more regularly going forward in the future. But I want to also take a look at the debt that I owe and how that came about. I will also take a look at how my portfolio performed this year, what I earned in dividend, and what my plans for 2026 going forward will be. It's going to be a fun one, so sit back and enjoy. And if you like this kind of content, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and support me. First of all, let's take a look at what I own, my assets, and then we will take a look at what I owe, my liabilities, which will now lead us into seeing what exactly or where exactly my net worth actually sits at as at December of 2025. My assets are pretty much made up of my investment accounts. Everything else is just a little bit of money that I have put in here and there, right? I have my checking account sitting at $841, my tax-free savings account sitting at $68,520, my RRSP both, and this is just a combination of my World Simple and Questrade. My RSP is sitting at $8,469, and my first home savings account is sitting at $27,206. I have a non-registered account that I have $83 in there, and then debtors. This is the amount of money that I have lent out to people, and these are credible people. These are people that I know personally on a one-to-one basis, and these are people that I trust. And 15,000 out of this money is working for me and making me money. And then I have $4,000 of emergency fund, and then $10,000 in assets. This is pretty much equity in landed properties or landed assets that I have back home in Nigeria. Yeah, so that is pretty much what my assets are comprised of, and that brings my total asset balance to $138,621.81. And then moving on from that, let's take a look at my liabilities. What exactly do I owe? Most people think that as a person who talks about finance and make personal finance contents, that I will not be owing anybody. But a shocker, I actually owe money, and it is not small, right? It is not super significant. It is not too much of a lot of money, but it is a significant amount, really. And that amount is totaling $36,694. I have, from top to bottom, $30,000 in student loan at the federal level. I also have $2,566 in provincial student loan. So a total of 32,500 or $32,600 is student loan. And of that student loan, the federal portion is zero interest payments. I don't have to pay any interest for that amount. That the provincial portion, which is something that I am super grateful for, it is not a lot of money, $2,566, and the interest that is being charged on this loan is 5.45%. So that is not too bad. And my plan for this provincial portion of the loan is to just pay it off as quickly as possible and then take my time in paying off the balance of $30,000 that I owe at the federal level. Then I do not carry a lot of credit card debt. I try my best not to carry any credit card debt, But as at today, I have $60 in credit balance that I still have to pay. And then here, most of you may not know this. This is Ajo Isusu. This is like a contribution scheme, like a contribution club where we come together and save money, and then one after the other, whatever that we have saved up is given or handed in total to one person, right? So I belong to a group like that, which this is something that started earlier in the year. I took my own caution at some point in July, but this is going to last until January of 2026, which is the last bit. So I still owe $1,000 to clear my debt on that front. And then I have a $2,000 fine that I still have to pay. I do not want to talk about the details of how that fine came about. Um, it is something that I still have to pay. So it was initially $2,500, but now the balance is actually $2,000. So $500 of that amount have been paid. And then I have a $1,000 that I am owing to my brother. Pretty much, it's really not a debt, but this is something he gave me this money to hold for him in trust. So he trusted me with his money. And yes, I have made provisions for that. And this money is there and ready to go whenever he needs it. And that brings my total liability to $36,694. And then if you add and subtract what I have and what I owe, my assets total of $138,621.81. And then my liabilities of $36,694.71, which brings my net worth to $101,927.10. Honestly, I didn't think that when after taking away what I owe, and I will still have a six-figure net worth, right? So it's actually impressive to see. This is the first time that I am actually tracking everything on an Excel sheet. And doing this just kind of helps me see everything at a glance. And this is something that I will continue to do as I go into 2026. And of the total $138,000 that I own, $120,000 is actively working for me and making me money. So let's take a look at how my investment portfolio performed for 2025. For my investing, I use Simple and Questrade. And if you're looking to sign up, I have links in the description of this video. So feel free to sign up and you will be getting either a $25 or $50 sign-on bonus depending on which of the brokers you decide to go with. I love Simple and their performance inside dashboard is something that I really like. If I want to take a look at how my investment portfolio performed for a particular year, I can easily go down here and then I select year to date. If I want to see how my portfolio has performed since inception, I can go down here and I click all time and it's just going to populate. This is actually super helpful. I don't need to do so much to track or see what I have invested and how my investment portfolio is performing. But with Questrade, you have to do a lot of work and do a lot of calculations because they just show you all-time returns. They don't really show you how your investments have performed from time to time. But for Wealth Simple here, this is where I have most of my money. If we go for year to date, January to December of this year, my investment portfolio did really well and around a weighted average return rate of 15%. And that brings me to a return of around $9,000. That is actually very impressive considering how much I have invested. $9,000 that I did not have to do any extra work for. This is just money that I invested and I have my money in the stock market working for me. So this is the overall performance of my Simple portfolio. And in my Simple, I actually have some accounts. I have a tax-free savings account, I have a first home savings account, and I have an RSP, which is just um, around $412. My RSP is primarily invested in Questrade, and then I recently opened a RESP account for my son, and I will also be managing that investment, just pretty much investing in the S&P 500. So this is my Wealth Pool investment, and that is how it performed this year for 2025. $9,000 in investment returns, and some of that money is dividends. And if you want to know how much I earned overall in dividends, please stick around till the end of this video. Next, we'll be taking a look at my Questrade portfolio and what its performance was for 2025. So for my Questrade portfolio, I have $35,743 invested. I have a tax-free savings account, an RSP account, and a first home savings account in my Questrade. But here, as you can see, what I can only see is like, if you try to even see the performance for a 1 year period, all you see is changes in charts movement. But the numbers here does not really change. The numbers down here does not change. I can just see since inception, like nothing changes here, but it just shows me my total profit and loss. And my total profit as at today sits at around $9,026. But for me to actually see how much of all of this is for this year, I have to do a little bit of extra work, right? I've not been investing so much in my Questrade. Majority of my investment has always been in Wealthsimple, but there is a reason why I decided to use Questrade. I basically use them for my US investments. I don't invest in anything Canadian stocks here in my Questrade. I do that mostly on Wealthsimple, and then I use Questrade for my US investments, by investment that is listed in USD, right? So that is why I have a Questrade and a Wealthsimple account. Each of them serves different purposes. So now for me to see my performance year to date on Questrade, I have to now come into reports. And then as you can see, for my tax savings account, the performance was 53.5%. And that is really high, but thanks to Google stock, that is like what carried my tax savings account here to, like, that's the reason behind this 53% performance for the year 2025. I invested $5,000 in Google last year, and it has actually done phenomenally well up from that time till now. That particular investment has gone up over 80%, and that actually gave my investment portfolio an extra boost this year. My RSP did 8.4%, and my first home savings account did 4.1%. So I have invested in 2025 in these accounts at different time periods. Some of them, for my first home savings account, I mostly held what I owned here in cash for the year, but have over time just deployed everything, and that is why this actual this account here, my first time savings account here, has this low performance. But that overall, it's not bad really. The most important thing for me is as much as I can to have my money working for me, and I just continue to invest, to save and invest in these accounts over time. So overall, this is not bad if you ask me, but I have to do a little bit of work to see exactly how much these percentages come to. And then for that, I have to go into Excel. As you can see, my FHSA 4.1%, my RSP 8.4%, my TFSA 53.5%. And these are the current balances. And I had to just do some math here and to get my opening balances before these returns. So for my tax free savings account, my opening balance was around 7,005, and that's the same for the rest of the accounts. But overall, here in my first time savings account, my investment here gained $632. My RSP gained $622. So as you can see, I do not really prioritize my RSP. Overall, I have a total of less than $8,000 in my RSP. That is, if you add this 7,400 here with the extra 400 in my Wealthsimple. But I have, since the inception of the first home savings account, I have prioritized my first home savings account as well as my tax-free savings accounts. These are the accounts that I prioritize. I don't have a lot of money. I don't make a lot of money. So for me, the priority goes first term savings account, then my tax-free savings account. Everything else comes after that. But in total, my total investment performance in Questrade, as you can see, my tax-free savings account returned $4,065. And again, thanks to Google, right? The Google stock performed very well, and that brings it to a total of $5,321 in returns for 2025 in Questrade. And then here we have the $9,000 from Wealthsimple, and then I have a $2,000 return from a loan that I gave a friend who was using that money to run his business. I charged him a 12% return on that loan, and he's been actually diligent with paying me my interest payments. And going forward in 2026, that loan, the loan period, or the agreed time for him to have that money will elapse, and I'm going to get that money back, and also over time deploy and invest that money in the stock market. So I made $2,000 in interest rates from that loan, and that brings me to a total of $16,350 in 2025, bringing my overall investment return to around 14%. That is really not bad if you ask me. $16,000 that I did not have to work extra for. My money just did most of the heavy lifting. And that is one of the reasons why I make these videos, to share my investment journey, to show what my portfolio is doing, and my plans as things change, right? Just to encourage somebody out there to start your investment journey. Remember, my first $500 was invested in February of 2021. It's not even been 5 years. February of 2026 will make it exactly 5 years that I started my investment journey. And over time, like today, I have over $120,000 invested and actively working for me, right? So if you want to start your investment journey, do that and just get it started, and you will grow along the way. You don't have to have it all figured out. You will learn as you go. So of my total $16,350 investment return, $748 of that amount came from dividend. I am not a dividend investor, but it is sure and definitely a nice feeling to get those monthly dividend payments. It's your investment account. And what I do generally is I set all these investments that I have that pay me dividend. I set my dividends payments to automatic reinvest. So as the money is coming in, it is automatically reinvested back for me. I don't have to do any extra work, and that is a feature that you will get with both Wealthsimple and Questrade. Let's now take a look at my plans for 2026. Number one, I will continue to save and invest, and my savings and investment goal for 2026 is $15,000 to $20,000. So my target is to be able to save and invest at least $15,000 to $20,000 in 2026, and hopefully I can achieve that. We will find out by the end of 2026. And if you want to stay on track with my journey, consider subscribing to the channel. Number two, I will continue to track my investment and portfolio performance. This is something that I have done in the past, but going forward, I will even be doing this a little more consistently on a monthly basis. And in addition to that, I will be tracking my income and expenses. When it comes to my income, I have never really tracked everything, especially the side hustles that I do. Sometimes I cut hair for people, I provide ride hailing services to people, and for all these services, I get paid. But I have never before tracked any of this money that I have coming in. So that is something that will change in 2026. I want to see everything that I make. I want to know in total how much I am able to bring in every month and every year. And then to take that even a step further, I will also be tracking all of my expenses in 2026. I want to know how much I have coming in. I want to also know where exactly my money is going. I do a lot of gifting to family and friends, and that is something that I also want to track. All of my expenses, everything and every way that I have money leaving me, I want to know. I want to be able to see what I spend my money on the most at every point in time. This is something that I will also be doing in 2026. And then number three, I want to streamline all of my investments. I want to streamline all my investment holdings. I do not want to have more than 10 holdings at a time. 3 ETFs, two of them equity ETFs and one bond ETF. The 7 spots that is left will now go to individual companies that I find attractive. I want to streamline all of this because I do not want to end up holding a lot of individual companies that I cannot even keep track of. I also do not want to get caught up in the loop of constantly chasing investment returns. I would rather spend my time focusing on increasing my income, because as a beginner investor, as somebody who's trying to build an investment portfolio or a significant net worth, what you have to do is really hone in and focus on increasing your income. Because if you are able to increase your income while keeping your expenses constant or even lowering them, that is one of the key and major ingredients that you actually need to build a financial future that you will be proud of. As of today, even when you go to my World Simple account, you see me holding an ETF like VFV. And then when you now go to my Questrade account, you also see an ETF called VOO. These are one and the same ETFs, and they do basically the same thing. One is just listed in Canadian dollar and the other one listed in USD. These ETFs are the same, but these are one of the mistakes that I made when I started investing, and this is something that I have to let go of. It has to go in 2026. So if you like this kind of content or found any value in this video, consider liking, subscribe to the channel, drop your thoughts in the comments, and feel free to also share this video to anybody that you care about, because this might be the motivation that they need to start their investment journey, and you do not want to deny them of that opportunity. And if you liked this video, then you might also enjoy any of the videos showing on your screen.